So, yes. So, when your mates ask you, how was that business conference this weekend, what are you going to tell them? You ever have someone say, like, oh, you're going to a conference this weekend? Isn't that going to be boring? Who wouldn't want to come here? Who wouldn't want to come here? So, man, we are fired up. And don't worry, for those of you only have to suffer through us this last time, okay? So we're gonna put a nice little bow on this weekend. Who's ready to go show the plan to somebody? At this time of the function, I'm like, let me out. I'm ready. Just let me out. So we're super excited to be here. So we are Mike and Lauren LeBou. We are sponsored by Billy and Taylor Massey. Our upline diamonds are Dirk and Laura Taylor, Terry and Lori Taylor, Larry and Pam Winters, and we are super honored to be here. Who's having fun this weekend? So we are gonna, like I said, put a bow on the weekend. And you got some great speakers that are gonna just tie the weekend together, because here's the deal. I've come to so many weekends like this that are inspirational, that are empowering, that are equipping, but no one's ever heard the best talk. No one's ever gone to a function and say, man, that was the best talk ever. What makes the best talks the best are the people in the audience that apply what they learn. It's in the application of what you learn this weekend that's gonna create the success that you want. It's not what you learn, it's what you apply. Because it's not knowledge. Who's ever heard that knowledge is power? I would say that's incomplete, because applied knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. Your upline can do a meeting for you, and you can study them, but when you do the meeting for yourself, guess what? Now you learn. And then when you watch that next meeting, you look and you go, man, oh, that's how they transitioned. Oh, that's how they did this. Oh, that's how they did that. So all of you guys in here have a leadership potential. Now it's about taking what you've learned and applying it this week, next week, the week after. Because you know what? You know what we say at our conferences? You know what's coming? Wednesday's coming. Who's ever been on Wednesday after a conference? Sunday, you're like, ah! Monday, you're like freaking out. Tuesday, you're like, okay. Wednesday, you're like, oh. Back in the grind, back at work, back with the kids, back with the negative friends, all of the things. In here, you're in a positive environment all weekend. So what we want to do is Lauren and I are going to go back and forth, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we had to apply. Things that we have studied and we've had to apply so that we can create success, create momentum. And by the way, there's success all along the way, folks. It's not just about a certain pin level. Because I learned that incremental growth leads to exponential growth. Write that down. Incremental growth leads to exponential growth. It's all about hitting these little increments along the way, and then because you applied the information, now you can equip someone on your team that's hungry, not force it down their throat. Is everybody with me here? Yeah. It's all about these incremental steps along the way, and here's what happens when you do these things. You stop getting so overwhelmed all the time. You stop getting overwhelmed all the time. So the first thing that we needed to learn how to do coming out of a conference like this is we need to learn how to plan.
Right.
Now, Lauren's a little bit more of a planner than I am.
I'm a lot more of a planner than Mike is. Details are my friend, but the pendulum can swing a little too far, and I can become a little over-analytical. But we would come out of a conference and we would just say, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. That was so incredible. Let's just go with like our hair on fire. Let's just go grow. And then why we would burn out so quickly, well, not even say burn out, because we would always do stuff, but why we wouldn't get results is because we weren't organized in what we were trying to accomplish next. We were just so excited to go grow, but we didn't know what that next step for us was in accomplishment. And so I remember being told by our upline years ago, they asked us, how many times do you draw out your group? Because when you can look at your group and it's a visual of what you're looking at, what your team currently looks like, it allows you to say, hey, here's what I've really got, rather than in your mind. Hey, are you drawing out the people that you're putting into the process? The process. I love how you guys say it here. Are you drawing out how many people you have in the process? Are you like seeing people that are filtering out and people that are filtering in? Because it allows you to see how much work you're actually doing and towards getting those results. Another thing with planning, do you know what your volume goal is, what you're trying to accomplish there? Do you look at your web office every day? We've had people on our team, and we'd be like, what's your PV at? And they'd be like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, you don't know? You don't know what your PV is at? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, you should be looking every day because you should expect that your PV is going up every single day. And you should expect that when it's just you on your team, because you should be out there planting enough seeds that your PV should be going up every single day. But you should be able to draw your group out. We were told, draw out your group at least once a week.
Yes.
So that you could see, like I just mentioned, how many people are actually going through your filter. How much work are you actually doing? And it allows you to see the results. I used a notebook so that I could see it from week to week, and I could see the progression of what was happening. And then if I was going through here's the thing, data is so important. And it's why when I talk about our relationship with our upline, I remember that there was a season in my business where I kind of drew my line in the sand, so to speak. And I thought, this is it. I'm getting serious about my business. I'm going to be consistent. I don't care how long it takes. This time, I'm not going to stop and start. I'm going to stay steady.
Yes.
Because I was so tired of coming out of a conference and being on a high, doing some work, and then not seeing results right away. So then I'd stop. And then, okay, you know what? I'm going to reset this time. I was so tired of the stopping and starting. I was just so frustrated with myself. And so I remember I got with Laura and I said, this is it. I'm going to do this. And I asked her if I could be accountable to her. Why? Because I knew that sometimes it would be easy to let myself off the hook if I had a bad day or if I just had a long work day and I just didn't feel like going out. But I knew I'd never let my upline down because I respected her and her time too much. She did not need me to grow. She had a solid business whether I grew or not. So I knew, I was very much in a friend role with her, but I wanted her in a mentorship role. And I wanted her to know that I was going to follow through, because here's what I never wanted my upline to do to me. I never wanted my upline, once I was serious about building my business, I never wanted my upline to put me in the friend zone.
Nobody wants to be in the friend zone.
The friend zone is great, because as my upline, Laura always loved me. Laura always appreciated me. Laura always treated me with just such kindness and love and grace. But here's the thing, if I told her that I was going to do something and then I didn't follow through, like I said, it didn't really affect her as much. She had a great business. But what it did let her know was, hey, she said this, but she's doing the opposite, so she's not ready yet. I'm not going to spend my time pouring into somebody that is not applying or that's taking her time for granted. I always wanted to be in that mentorship role, which was so huge for me. But this is why mentorship is so important, because sometimes there is a season where seed time, progression time, harvest time, and you have to stay steady and stay consistent whether or not you see results. But I remember I was in that process with Laura of just staying accountable to her. We've got a game plan of, hey, Laura, what do you need from me? What helps you help me? What do you need? What information do you need to know from me so that you can give me the best guidance and give me the best feedback? And she told me, and so I started doing that every single day. Because I was 300 PV, my sponsoring was not off the charts. I was not someone that you would look at and say, there she is, there's the next platinum on the team. I wasn't. I had to change some things. And so I remember I was consistent, and then I started putting people in the process, and then people get in the process, and then they'd filter out, and then I'd have guests that see the plan, and then maybe filter out. And this was like a couple months were going by, and I remember Laura kept saying, just keep going. Because she knew the quality of people I was talking to, she knew the pace that I was running at, and because I was getting frustrated. If I wasn't accountable or in communication with my upline, I honestly might have stopped what I was doing, because I was doing work and seeing nothing. But I was in communication with Laura. I knew Laura had results. I trusted what Laura had to say. What did I have to lose? I knew what being inconsistent looked like. I wanted to try this whole consistency thing. But because I was planning, because I was keeping track of the data, every single day, every single week. I tell you what, I remember I got to month 3. Consistent plans, consistent guests, consistent follow-ups, no sponsoring. I was frustrated. I was mad because you know why? And I remember a cross line. I felt like I was sharper than them, but it's like, doesn't matter. But
You were significantly.
I remember, sometimes you get that like inner competitiveness, but this cross line sponsored 3 legs in like a week. And I cannot tell you, I was like, yay, congratulations. But inside, I was so mad. So mad. And honestly, I can't see myself on the screen, but like I don't hide my facial expressions that well at all. I'm working on it, but I'm not that great at it just currently. I'm a work in progress. But I'm aware enough to know that I need to work on it. But I say all that to say, I was so mad. And I remember Laura having a conversation with me, and she said, just keep going. She said, I ran all your data by Dirk. Everyone knows what you're doing. Just keep going. Don't get weary. I tell you what, 2 weeks later, I sponsored 3 legs in 24 hours. And and then I kept going and I kept staying. And here's the thing though, when I started seeing results, I didn't stop my communication. I didn't stop keeping track of my data because now I needed to learn how to help the people I sponsor, right? And I needed to keep going. But I'm telling you, the data was so important, but I think that, and we're gonna talk about association in a few minutes, but it's so important to keep track of what you're actually doing, because here's what Laura was able to do for me during that season. She was able to say, hey, you're doing this right, keep going. And then some days she was able to say, hey, you know what? Tweak this a little bit. Tweak this mindset is hurting you. Tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to keep track of data.
Yeah. And just so you know how the numbers work out, of those legs you sponsored, 1 quit almost immediately, 1 quit a week later, and 1 went platinum. So, pretty good numbers. So what Lauren's talking about is short-term planning, day-to-day planning, data updating, communicating with your upline, taking action, and being able to stay consistent. But you also have to have long-term planning. See, Lauren's grandfather was actually born in Alice Springs. Anyone know where Alice Springs is? So he grew up in Alice Springs, and his father was a vegetable surgeon. That's true. Look it up.
He was a gardener, but he wanted to sound
He grew up
fancy.
on a farm. He grew up on a farm. He called himself a vegetable surgeon. And her grandfather had a wild life. But what he got into in his teens is apparently you guys have these gigantic trucks that go across the country, correct?
Well, this is also the 1940s, so.
Okay, but this is like starting. Talk about logistics, getting stuff from one side of Australia to the other through the outback. So this takes a ton of planning, guys, because you don't want to. You're in the 1940s. If you get stuck in the outback and you got a truck that has who knows how many wheels on it, you need to know how to. There's a lot of preparation that goes into this.
He was stuck for a while.
You got to think through how to survive. You got to think through how to change tires. You got to think through what are you actually carrying? There's planning that goes ahead. And by the way, things are going to go wrong when it's 40 degrees centigrade outside. Something's bound to go wrong. So you have to have planning. And let me give you guys a tip. In your business, life's not perfect. Notice I said life's not perfect. And if life is not perfect, anything that is under life is not going to be perfect either. There's no perfect business. There's no perfect business. And life's not perfect. So along the way, guys, here's what I heard a story from John Maxwell. And John Maxwell was talking about he was on a book tour. They were coming down from a book tour. He was on a plane, and the plane was going to land. And as soon as the plane went to land, a wind shear blew. And what a wind shear does is the plane's going down straight. All of a sudden, the plane turns sideways. So in your head, you're looking out the window, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to hit the ground, we're going to flip, and everyone's dead. And he said in a split second, that plane was back up in the air, swung back around, and landed. And they got out, and everyone's on the ground, kissing the ground, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And John Maxwell goes up to the pilot, and he said, how did you react so quickly? How did you think through what to do? And the pilot told John Maxwell, he said, I didn't think. I made a decision 20 years ago that if I was ever in this scenario, I would immediately pull the plane back up and go and re-land. And guys, you have to make decisions in this business that, some of you guys, your plane flight, whose plane flight got canceled to get here this weekend? Anyone go through that? Okay, hey, guess what? You're still here. Give them a hand. You have to make a decision beforehand. We've never missed a conference. We've never missed did I say it's been easy to get to every conference? No. Did I say it's been easy to show the plan, easy to show up, easy to go through, go on planes, trains, and automobiles through rain, sleet, and snow to get the job done? No, it's not easy. Oh my gosh, we had kids along the way, and we got married along the way, but you know what? We never starved the goose. Make sure that your attention and your focus, plan ahead to make sure that the business is always getting fed, and long term it will feed you. So we always planned ahead. So when things happened, I didn't use it as an excuse not to follow through. We always had the conversation, this is going to be a great story for later. Here's how we responded. We didn't react in our feelings. We responded because we decided beforehand. See, all failure, get your pens ready? All failure is a result of broken focus. All failure is a result of broken focus. And if you make decisions beforehand, you can't prepare for everything, but the majority, 90% of things, you can prepare for and say, if this were to happen, we're going to follow through anyway. So things happen to us, but you know what? We got the job done anyway because we planned.
Absolutely. Another thing we had to learn about this bright light was learn how to run light. Because Dom and Karina, I think, spoke on this. The sessions are kind of blurring, but I think on Friday night at the leadership, and they were talking about how as you grow your skill sets, you just hone your skill sets, you get better and better and better, and people are going to want to pull on you more and more and more because they see that you're efficient. They see that you're productive. They see that you've got some great leadership qualities that you're developing. And guess what? Everybody wants to have people like that on their team. Everyone wants people like that at their job or in different settings or different
clubs.
Definitely
at your church. Definitely at your church.
Right? So you have to, I'll tell you a lesson that Mike taught me years ago. I couldn't believe it. Mike is one of those people, he says that he's sometimes intense. He's all the time intense. You can't be from New Jersey and not be from intense, I don't think. There's just like a certain grit that people have. So, anyways, Dirk and Laura, years ago, decided to do their first ever leadership down in Nags Head, which is in North Carolina. And so we're like in the morning doing workouts on the beach, which is really hard to do workouts on the beach because of the sand and running, And so then we start to do guys versus girls, right? Workouts. And so we did like a strength training workout on the beach the first day, and then the girls got to pick what we did the next day. Us girls decided that we were going to do a 1-mile sprint to the lighthouse with stipulations that you couldn't stop, and there was just a bunch of rules that we made up because we wanted to win. Anyway, so the morning comes and we're going to do this. Mike's not running the race. Mike's like, I'm absolutely not doing that. And where we were, there's these breakfast pastries called Apple Uglies.
It's a gigantic donut.
Yeah, it's like an apple fritter, if you guys know what that is. But it was huge. It was like the size of your face. So really large. And so that's just one thing that Nags Head was known for, at least where we were. And so I'm getting ready. I get up. I'm like, I'm going to go run this race. And most of the people whose spouses weren't running were coming to watch and cheer them on throughout the mile or whatever. So I look over and I say to Mike, he's kind of still sleeping. I said, are you going to come watch me?
We all know where this is going.
I said, are you going to come watch me? He said, no. I said, excuse me? And he said, no, I'm not coming. And so now I'm kind of getting a little mad. I'm like, well, everyone else is going to go support their spouse. Why aren't you coming to support me? And he's like, I'm not going. He's like, I'm going to go get an Apple Ugly. And I said, are you for real? And he said, Lauren, let me teach you something.
Because Lauren did not want to run listen. Lauren did not. Has anyone ever signed up for something that you didn't want to do? And then now you're at your spouse, we need to go do this. And they're like, this was not a good decision in the first place. Okay? So don't try to drag me with you.
But so I'm already kind of gearing up. And he's like, I'm kind of bowing. I'm ready. And he said, let me teach you something. I'm already mad. I'm already mad that he has the audacity to say that to me. He said, let me teach you something. He said, just as important as it is to say yes, it's important to learn when to say no. And I will be honest, I don't think we spoke the rest of the morning.
But she's never forgotten it.
But you know what? And here I am years later telling it to you. But I will say this, that is a huge lesson to learn. It is important when to learn to say no, because you have to know what your priorities are and what's important to you. What are you trying to accomplish the most? Because you are going to have people that with not bad intentions necessarily, but they're going to want you to do stuff. They're going to want you to go hang out. And people might not understand. Like when I got my business started, my roommates did not understand, because we used to, our info sessions, our plans used to be on Tuesday nights. Well, they still are, but we're on Tuesday nights. But before I got in business, my roommates and I would have like a bunch of like our favorite TV shows were on Tuesday nights, and so we'd all watch them together. And my roommates did not comprehend why I all of a sudden was not hanging out watching TV with them on Tuesday nights anymore.
Priorities.
But they got mad and they tried to guilt trip me, but it wasn't a priority for me anymore. I can watch a TV show anytime. I can watch the TV shows anytime. But I had different priorities. I had debt to pay off. They didn't have debt to pay off. I had debt to pay off. And so I had to learn, and I was a little bit more naturally of a people pleaser. I didn't like to tell people no, but I've had to learn that just as important as it is to say yes, it's important to learn when to say no to things so that you can make sure, and you don't have to be mean about it, you don't have to be a jerk about it, but you have to know what are you ultimately trying to accomplish, and does it help and are your decisions, are your choices getting you closer to those goals, or are they keeping you further from those goals?
Yep. Yeah. You got to protect three things: your time, your energy, and your heart. You got to protect your time, your energy, and your heart. Because where you sow those things, guys, it's important. It's really, really, really important. And you got to learn how to run light. If we all went on a jog, some of you might be in better shape than others, but we could all go for a jog. But if we went for a jog and we all had to throw 30 kilos on our back, guess what? People would drop out a little faster. Had to throw 50 kilos on your back, you know what? People would drop out even faster. Because carrying extra weight sometimes, people get in this business with all sorts of baggage. And sometimes the longer you're in business, unfortunately, you might drop off baggage over here. But others of you, you'll gain more baggage along the way, which is really awkward. But most likely, I've been an engineer for 10 years. Wow, that's impressive. I've worked in the civil service for 15 years. Wow, okay, awesome. I've done this. And your longevity at your career gives you credibility. But if I ask some of you, how long have you been in business? 5 years. Oh, 5 years. And you know what? There's guilt with it. Like, I should be further along. I should be better. I should be a higher pin. I should be platinum. I should be diamond. And all this extra guilt is just coming off. And you know what? Where's that from, guys? Where's that from? How's that helping you? Beware the fury of the persistent man, because if you stay persistent and consistent, and listen, you protect your time and invest your time. You protect your energy. You only have so much energy. And you know what? For those of you that have families, they need your energy. They need your energy. You build this business for your family, not to neglect your family. They need your energy. Your team needs your energy. Your spouse needs your energy. Guess what? Your study, it needs your energy. And you got to protect your heart. I think this is the best opportunity that anybody from any background can take and own their own business and be part of the free enterprise system globally.
Well, before we totally switch gears to our last point, I just want to say, we talked a few minutes ago about, hey, know what your priorities are, because as you get your skill sets higher, your leadership grows, outside sources are going to come in and tap into that because they want that, right? People want the best working with them, right? But I also think it's good to reflect also on your priorities as you grow. What are you doing? And is it effective or is it busy work? Because sometimes we can just get into habits of doing stuff like, oh, I'm out there. Okay, but are you actually making contacts? Or are you just doing it to say that you're out there so your upline knows that you're doing something? Is it effective? I remember Mike and I were driving home. We were visiting family one time. We were living in Northern Virginia still. And we had I don't know, each day we went to a different shopping center and just to make our contacts, just to keep it fresh. So, I mean, we were one of those people, we were out contacting so much that people could come up to us in Target and we could be like, oh, it's on this aisle. You know what I mean? We were just out all the time. I mean, you gave us a red shirt, game on. And so we were talking though about the particular shopping center. And I was like, Mike, I can't go to the shopping center anymore. And he said, why? And I said, because I hate being there. I said, just sometimes you go to just a shopping center and you're oh, it's grungy looking and I just didn't want to be there. And it was I didn't make contacts either. I just felt like I wandered around and didn't do anything productive, but I could say on our group meet chat, oh, Mike and Lauren are out there. Are you out there or are you sucking your thumb at home? We were just so intense telling our team oh, we're out there. We're, fighting the fight. But we weren't productive. And so that was hours of our life. And in Northern Virginia, it could say that it's 3 miles away, but that really means 45 minutes.
You're sitting in traffic the whole time.
Just sitting in traffic, any given day. And if you're in rush hour, forget it. So anyways, we would just waste all this time doing busy work. And we had to kind of step back and say, whether it's, hey, who are we working with on our team? What are Mike and I personally doing for our personal momentum? What's productive? What do we actually need to be doing? And is what we've been doing still the right thing to do? Or no, is it not? Do we need to switch some things up so that we can maximize our productivity?
Yeah.
And that's another thing being a mentorship will help you with. That's what Dirk and Laura have done for us our whole journey. And I think we talked about this. We'll have 10 things. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And Dirk and Laura will say, why? Why? And then they would never just tell us what to do or not to do. They made us think. And
it hurts so much sometimes.
It did hurt a lot. If we knew the answer, we'd be a lot further ahead. So can you just tell us, please? And they wouldn't. They made us learn how to think. But they'd say, hey, why are you doing that? How does that make you feel? You feel frustrated when you're over there? And we're like, yeah, we're angry all the time. He was like, yeah, I would be too. That's why I think Dirk would always be so nonchalant. I'd be mad too. I'd be like, okay, then tell us how to fix it. What do we do? And that's what they would just take so much pressure off of us and just say, hey, make sure you're running light. Stay steady and run light.
Yep. Your upline will help you guide your energy and your time. Your upline will help you guide that. Your game plan will help you guide that. And the last tip we're going to give you, and this is a lost art in the business. I really think this is a lost art. This is something that we learned when we got started, and it's given us a lot of the mentality that we need to go to the next level. It always has. And like I said, this is a lost art. There's so many people in the business that everything is about, it's so easy to get access to information. It's so easy to click a button or look up something on the internet. And here's what I learned. Here's what I was taught when I got in business. You have to learn, if you want to win here, how to chase the heat. You have to learn how to chase the heat. And here's what I realized, okay? Windows open and windows close. There's going to be periods of time that you're going to be able to get access, and then there's going to be periods of time that you can't. If I had to get in the car and drive for 3 hours to get around my upline, I was getting around my upline. If my upline was doing a seminar over here or a plan over here, I tried to figure out where they were getting coffee. I'd just show up because I wanted to get around the thought process. Getting around the leaders is so powerful. A lot of this business is caught, it's not taught. It's caught in the environment. It's caught in the atmosphere. And over the past couple years, we've had to increase our ability to reach people using Zoom and using these other technologies, but that doesn't replace chasing the heat. It doesn't replace the time around the leaders face to face, because we have learned, yeah, we were here to give this weekend, but we have taken away a lot more than we've given. I promise you that. And you guys have incredible leaders. Don't be the people that are so flippant or, oh, it's not a big deal to get around your upline, because it is a huge deal. And if you always keep that appreciation high, you're always going to take away nuggets and information that other people are going to miss.
Absolutely. So as our time with you comes to a close, we just want to say thank you so much for having us. It has been a dream come true to be here. It has been such an honor to meet so many of you throughout this weekend. It's been such a joy. I mean, honestly, we are just kids in the candy store, that we have gotten so much time with all your amazing leaders this weekend. It's been incredible. You guys are the cream of the crop. You have an amazing opportunity in your hands. And so our prayer for you is that you stay steady. You don't give up. And here's what I want to let you know. It's okay to be fanatical. It's okay to go against the grain. It's okay to be so excited about your future that it just seems crazy to other people. But it's not crazy to you, and it's not crazy to anybody in this room. It's okay to be fanatical. It's okay to fight with everything you got and just want something so bad that it hurts. Because that's been us for our journey, and it's paid off pretty well. But I tell you what, so much has come from chasing the heat, being around your amazing leaders. And I tell you what, we are so excited for the next time that we get to be around your leaders. It's been such an honor. Thank you for having us. We are so humbled to be here, so thankful. And so all I can say to you all is keep growing, keep having fun, and never take your leadership for granted, and stay steady. We love you guys.